You're about to learn something most people spend their entire lives running from, not because it's complicated, not because it's hidden, but because once you see it, you can never unsee it. The truth is this: your sexual desire is not random, that it's not weakness, and it's definitely not just hormones. That it is the most honest psychological signal you have. Every time you feel that sudden pull towards someone, the kind that doesn't make sense, the kind that disrupts your focus, the kind that makes you feel exposed, you are not reacting to them, you are reacting to yourself. Carl Jung believed that desire is the unconscious speaking before the mind has a chance to lie, before logic, before morality, before the persona you've carefully built to survive the world. And that's why desire feels dangerous, because it doesn't ask for permission. Think about it. You don't desire everyone attractive, you don't crave everyone kind, confident, or beautiful. Your body selects very few people, and when it does so with precision. Why? Because those people carry something you've buried, something unfinished, something unlived, something you were trained to suppress, silence, or abandon to be accepted. And here's the uncomfortable part no one tells you: the people who trigger the strongest desire in you are often the ones who destabilize you the most. They confuse you, they awaken intensity, they make you feel more alive, and more vulnerable. Then you want to admit that that's not coincidence, that that's the shadow, Jung said. The shadow is everything you refuse to acknowledge about yourself, and sexual desire is the shadow's favorite language. When desire appears, it's not asking, "Can I have them?" It's asking, "Why did I lock this part of myself away?" That's why desire shows up at the wrong time, with the wrong person, in the wrong situation, because it's not here to protect your comfort, that it's here to expose your truth. And if you pay attention, if you stop shaming it, suppressing it, or acting it out blindly, you'll realize something unsettling. Your desire is not revealing what you want, that it's revealing who you are becoming. Stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll never look at attraction, fantasies, or longing the same way again. We live in a world that is obsessed with the surface of desire. We are taught to look at attraction as a simple biological equation. You see someone with the right symmetry, the right status, the right aesthetic, and the chemical machinery of your brain turns on. We are told it is animalistic. We are told it is a simple drive, like hunger or thirst, designed to ensure the survival of the species. And while biology plays its part, reducing your intense, specific, and often confusing longings to simple biology is a lie. It is a lie that keeps you asleep. It is a lie that prevents you from opening the door to the most profound transformation of your life. Because if desire were simple biology, you would be attracted to everyone who fits the biological criteria. But you aren't. You know this. You have walked into rooms full of beautiful, successful, theoretically perfect people and felt absolutely nothing. You have felt cold. You have felt bored. And then, you have met someone who makes no sense on paper. Someone who perhaps shouldn't be good for you. Someone who complicates your life. Someone who irritates you or challenges you or frightens you. And yet, the pull is magnetic. It is undeniable. It is a gravitational force that ignores your logic and bypasses your willpower. Why does this happen? To understand this, we have to look at the architecture of your psyche. From the moment you were born, you began a process of splitting. You were born whole, containing every human potential. You were capable of rage and tenderness, dominance and submission, selfishness and generosity, wildness and discipline. But as you grew, you learned that certain parts of you were not welcome. Your parents, your teachers, your culture, and your religion handed you a script. They told you that to be loved, to be safe, and to be a good person, you had to hide certain things. Maybe you were a loud child who was told to be quiet, so you shoved your voice into the shadow. Maybe you were a dominant child who was told to be agreeable, so you shoved your power into the shadow. Maybe you were a sensitive, emotional child who was told to toughen up, so you shoved your heart into the shadow. Carl Jung called this the creation of the persona and the shadow. The persona is the mask you wear to face the world. It is the polished, acceptable version of you. It is who you think you are. But the shadow? The shadow is the bag you drag behind you. It contains everything you had to cut off to fit in. But here is the law of the psyche that you must never forget: nothing you bury ever dies. It simply goes underground. It waits. It grows in the dark. It gains pressure. And because it cannot express itself through your conscious personality, it finds another way out. It finds a side door. And that side door is sexual desire. This is the mechanism of projection. This is the secret engine of your attraction. You do not see people as they are, you see them as you are. When you meet someone who embodies the very traits you have repressed in yourself, your unconscious mind lights up like a flare in the dark. It recognizes the missing piece. It sees the gold you buried in the dirt. If you have spent your life being a nice guy, suppressing your aggression, your capacity for danger, and your ability to take what you want, you will find yourself inexplicably drawn to women who are chaotic, dangerous, or demanding. Why? Not because you want to be abused. But because she is carrying your aggression for you. She is acting out the part of the script you threw away. If you are a woman who has spent her life being hyper-independent, strong, in control, and carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, you might find yourself sexually magnetized by a man who is dominant, perhaps even overbearing. Why? Because your soul is exhausted from holding the reins. You have repressed your need to surrender, your need to be held, your need to let go of control. You desire him not because he is a bad boy, but because he forces you into the polarity you have denied yourself. This is why the intensity of the attraction is always equal to the depth of the repression. The more you have denied a part of yourself, the more violently you will be attracted to someone who represents it. It is a law of compensation. The psyche seeks balance. It seeks wholeness. It does not care about your marriage vows, your social status, or your 5-year plan. It cares about integration. It wants the lost parts of you back. And it will use the heat of desire to melt down the walls you have built around your heart to get them. Think about the specific flavor of your desire. This is where we have to get spicy, where we have to get honest. We are all polite in the daylight. We all say the right things at dinner parties. But in the privacy of your own mind, in the darkness of the bedroom, what do you really want? What are the fantasies that play out on the theater of your eyelids when no one is watching? Do not judge them. Analyze them. They are data. They are coordinates on a map leading to your hidden self. If you fantasize about dominance, about taking control, about possessing someone completely, look at your waking life. Where do you feel powerless? Where are you overly polite? Where are you letting people walk all over you? Your shadow is screaming for you to reclaim your power, and because you won't do it in the boardroom or in your relationships, it shows up in the bedroom as a hunger to dominate. That if you fantasize about submission, about being taken, about losing all control and being at the mercy of another, look at your waking life. Where are you overfunctioning? Where are you tired of making every decision? Where have you become rigid and armored? Your shadow is begging for release. It is begging for the freedom of not being responsible for everything. The fantasy of submission is often the psyche's antidote to the burden of hyper-responsibility. If you fantasize about the taboo, the forbidden, the wrong, look at your moral structure. Is it too tight? Are you living by rules that aren't yours? Are you suffocating under the weight of being good? The attraction to the forbidden is often a rebellion of the soul against a cage it never asked for. This is why Jung said that the shadow is not just the dark, evil stuff. It is also the golden shadow. We don't just repress our negativity, we repress our greatness. We repress our genius. We repress our ecstatic capacity for joy. Many people are attracted to charismatic, larger-than-life figures because they have repressed their own light. They put their lover on a pedestal and worship them, thinking, I could never be that. But the desire is proof that you are that. You are projecting your own potential onto them. You are falling in love with your own unlived life, but here is the trap. This is where 99% of people fail. They mistake the messenger for the message. They think the magic is in the other person. They think, if I can just possess this person, if I can just be with them, I will feel whole. So they chase. They obsess. They stalk. They manipulate. They tear their lives apart to get closer to this person who makes them feel electric. But it never works. Because the other person is just a screen. You are the projector. You can run up to the screen and try to grab the movie, but you will only grasp empty fabric. The image is coming from inside you. When you obsess over someone, you are actually obsessing over the part of yourself they have activated. You are starved for that part of your soul. And the tragedy is, when we blindly chase the person instead of integrating the trait, we often destroy the connection. We suffocate them with our need. We demand they complete us. We place a burden on them that no human can carry, the burden of being our missing soul. And eventually, the projection shatters. The magic fades. You see them as a regular human being with flaws and morning breath and annoying habits. And you wonder, where did the magic go? It didn't go anywhere. You just withdrew the projection. And now you are left feeling empty again, looking for the next person to light you up. This cycle continues forever until you stop and look inward. Until you realize that your sexual desire is a call to action, not to conquer a lover, but to conquer the self. Let's go deeper into the wrong person. Why does the shadow choose people who are difficult? Why are we attracted to the emotionally unavailable, the volatile, the complicated? Logic says we should want safety. Evolution says we should want stability to raise offspring. But the soul says, I am bored. The soul says, I am asleep. The unconscious mind knows that safety does not produce growth. Friction produces growth. Heat produces growth. The alchemists knew this. They knew that for base metal to turn into gold, it had to go through the fire. It had to be broken down. The person who triggers you, the person who makes you feel insecure, jealous, exposed, they are providing the friction necessary to wake you up. If you are with someone who acts like a mirror to your deepest insecurities, you have two choices. You can run away and find someone easier, someone who allows you to stay asleep, someone who never challenges your persona. Or, you can stay in the fire. You can ask, why does this behavior hurt me? What wound is this touching? If their distance triggers your anxiety, it is exposing your lack of self-worth. If their independence triggers your jealousy, it is exposing your fear of abandonment. If their criticism triggers your rage, it is exposing your fragile ego. The desire keeps you there. The desire is the glue that holds you in the fire long enough for the transformation to happen. If you didn't want them so badly, you would have left at the first sign of discomfort. But nature is wise. Nature baits the hook with ecstasy to keep you on the line of evolution. It uses pleasure to bribe you into doing the hard work of soul-making, and this is why suppression is so dangerous. We are told to control our urges. We are told to be civilized. And yes, we cannot go around acting out every impulse like animals. That is destruction. But there is a difference between restraint and repression. Restraint is conscious, repression is unconscious. When you repress your desire, when you tell yourself, I shouldn't want this, this is bad, I am disgusting for thinking this, you are pushing the energy down into the basement, but energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. Repressed desire does not disappear. It rots. It turns into anxiety. It turns into depression. It turns into psychosomatic illness. It turns into a low-level hum of resentment that colors your entire life. Or, even worse, it undergoes what Jung called enantiodromia, it turns into its opposite. The repressed need for connection becomes a cynical hatred of relationships. The repressed need for wildness becomes a rigid, judgmental moralism. The people who shout the loudest about morality are often the ones fighting the darkest demons in their own basement. You see this in the midlife crisis. What is a midlife crisis? It is simply the shadow knocking down the door. You spend 40 years building a persona, the good father, the loyal wife, the reliable employee. You follow all the rules. You starve the wild part of yourself. And then, one day, you meet someone. Maybe a colleague, maybe a stranger. And they represent everything you haven't lived. And because you have starved that part of yourself for decades, the hunger is ravenous. It consumes you. You blow up your life, leave your family, buy the sports car, chase the thrill. Everyone says you went crazy. Jung would say you didn't go crazy, you went seeking the parts of yourself you tried to kill, but it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to destroy your life to reclaim your soul. You can do it consciously. You can do the work before the explosion happens. So, how do we listen? How do we decode the message without burning the house down? Step 1 is the removal of shame. Shame is the lock on the door to the unconscious. As long as you are shaming your desires, you are blind to them. You must look at your attractions with the cold, clinical eye of a scientist. Interesting, you must say. I am feeling a pull toward this person. I am having this fantasy. What is the symbolic meaning? Strip the person of their face. Look at the archetype they represent. Are they the rebel? The king? The healer? The destroyer? The victim? The savior? What energy are they carrying? If you are a woman attracted to a bad boy archetype, someone unpredictable, maybe even dangerous, ask yourself, where is my inner rebel? Where have I been too obedient? How can I bring more unpredictability and excitement into my own life without needing him to do it for me? Maybe you need to take a risk in your career. Maybe you need to speak your truth to your family. Maybe you need to break a rule. When you start living the energy you were projecting, the obsessive need for the other person often fades. You still might desire them, but the desperation goes away. The hook is removed. You become free to love them for who they are, not for what they fix in you. If you are a man attracted to the damsel in distress, the woman who needs saving, who is chaotic and emotional, ask yourself, where is my own vulnerability? Why do I need to be the hero? Am I afraid that if I am not useful, I am not lovable? You are projecting your own inner wounded child onto her. You are trying to save her because you cannot save yourself. When you start to tend to your own wounds, when you allow yourself to be weak, the compulsion to rescue broken partners evaporates. You begin to desire a partner who is your equal, not your project. This is the path of integration. It is the path of taking back your projections. It is the realization that everything you see out there is actually in here. This perspective changes everything. It turns every crush, every obsession, every sudden spark of lust into a teacher. It turns the dating world into a hall of mirrors where you are finally meeting yourself. It also explains why chemistry fades in long-term relationships. When you first meet, the projection is strong. You don't know them, so you can paste your fantasy over their face. But as you get to know them, reality intrudes. You see they are just human. The projection dissolves. Most people think this is the end of love. They break up and go look for a new screen to project on. But true intimacy begins where projection ends. True love is seeing the other person as a separate, flawed, complex human being and choosing them anyway. But to keep the spark alive, you must keep the tension of the opposites alive within yourself. You must own your own shadow so you don't demand your partner carry it for you. When you stop outsourcing your darkness and your light to your partner, you become a whole person. And two whole people can create a connection that is far deeper, far wilder, and far more enduring than the desperate clinging of two half-people trying to complete each other. Let's talk about the spiritual dimension of this. Because sexual desire, at its core, is a spiritual drive. The word libido, in Jungian psychology, is not just sexual energy, it is psychic energy. It is the life force itself. It is the energy of creation. When you feel that drive, you are feeling the universe trying to create through you. In many ancient traditions, particularly Tantra and alchemy, sexual energy was seen as the fuel for enlightenment. They didn't suppress it, they harnessed it. They understood that the heat of desire could be used to burn away the ego and reveal the divine self. When you feel that intense longing, that feeling of, I want, I need, that is the soul longing for union. On the surface, it looks like a longing for a body. But deeper down, it is a longing for unity. It is a longing to bridge the gap between I and thou. It is a longing to dissolve the illusion of separation. The orgasm itself is a momentary dissolution of the ego. For a split second, there is no I, there is no time, there is no worry. There is only pure being. That is why we crave it. We are not just addicted to the friction, we are addicted to the transcendent release from the prison of our own minds. We are trying to get back to the source. So when you feel that hunger, honor it. Do not reduce it to, I want to have sex. See it for what it is, I want to connect. I want to feel alive. I want to transcend. But remember, the shadow is tricky. It will try to convince you that the answer is outside of you. It will tell you, if only I had that person, I would be happy. That is the great illusion. That is the Maya. The person is the catalyst, not the cause. That if you are constantly attracted to people who hurt you, your shadow is acting out a repetition compulsion. It is trying to resolve an old trauma. Freud saw this, and Jung expanded on it. If your father was distant, your shadow will seek out distant men, not to hurt you, but to give you a second chance to win the love you didn't get as a child. It is a subconscious attempt to rewrite history. But you cannot rewrite history with a new person. You can only heal the history within yourself. As long as you are acting it out blindly, you will be trapped in a loop, dating the same person with a different face, over and over again, wondering why the universe is punishing you. The universe is not punishing you. It is teaching you. It is screaming at you. It is saying, look at this pattern. Look at what you are choosing. Sexual desire is the spotlight that highlights the pattern. It is the most vivid, undeniable evidence of your internal state. You can lie to your therapist. You can lie to your journal. But you cannot lie to your body. Your body knows what it wants. And what it wants is the truth. So, the next time you feel that pull, the next time you feel the hook in your gut, stop. Don't react. Don't just chase, and definitely don't shame yourself. Turn inward, ask the difficult questions. What does this person have that I think I lack? What emotion does this person allow me to feel that I don't let myself feel? What story is my body trying to tell me? If you do this work, you will stop being a slave to your impulses. You will become the master of your own house. You will no longer be dragged around by the nose by your unconscious needs. You will begin to choose your partners out of love, not out of deficit. You will begin to engage with your fantasies as a form of creative play, not as a shameful secret. You will realize that the shadow is not a monster. It is a reservoir of infinite potential. It is where your creativity lives. It is where your passion lives. It is where your true power lives. A person without a shadow is flat, boring, and harmless. A person who has integrated their shadow is dangerous in the best sense of the word. They are whole. They are capable of teeth and claws, but they choose gentleness. They are capable of chaos, but they choose order. That is true virtue. That is true attractiveness. When you integrate your shadow, you become magnetic. You no longer need to pull energy from others because you are generating it from within. You become the flame, not the moth. And ironically, when you stop desperately needing others to complete you, that is when you find the healthiest, most passionate connections of your life. Because you are meeting them vivid soul to vivid soul, shadow to shadow, light to light. So, I want you to take a challenge. For the next week, observe your desire like a hawk, watch who catches your eye on the street, watch where your mind wanders when you are bored, watch what characters in movies you fall in love with. Don't dismiss it. Write it down, decode it, find the missing piece of you, because the journey to the self does not go up into the light, it goes down into the dark. It goes into the messy, sweaty, confusing, electric world of your desire. That is where the treasure is buried, that is where you are buried. Are you brave enough to pick up the shovel? Sexual desire isn't exposing your weakness. It's exposing your identity. It's the part of you that refuses to stay silent. The part of you that wants to be seen, understood, claimed, accepted, and until you stop shaming your desire and start listening to it, you will keep misunderstanding yourself. Because desire is not the problem. It's the doorway. The question is whether you're brave enough to walk through it. If this analysis struck a nerve, if it illuminated a corner of your mind you've kept dark for too long, then you know what to do. This isn't just content, this is a conversation with your unconscious, like this video to signal to the algorithm, and to yourself, that you are ready for the truth. Subscribe if you want to go deeper into the psychology of the self, beyond the surface, beyond the lies we are told, and I want to hear from you in the comments below. Be honest. No judgment here. What quality in others triggers the strongest desire in you? Is it power? Is it freedom? Is it danger? Let's decode it together. Welcome to the shadow work.